Alright folks, and welcome back to the Don's channel. I am the Donfather and this is hashtag AFL Chair Chat. Thanks very much for joining today's show. This is Thursday 27th of June 2019, round 15 in the AFL calendar. Today's game is between the Essendon Bombers, Essendon Football Club, versus the GWS Giants. Essendon currently sit 10th in the ladder and the Giants are 3rd. I don't expect any surprises here today. The Essendon's one of those teams that on their day they're really good to watch, and they can be a bit of a handful for most teams. They will push teams most of the way to the finish line and leave it to a cliffhanger finish. However, I don't expect anything like that today. I think the Giants will be too physically strong for them. Couple of names to mention: Green, Big Mumford's back. He's a strong boy, isn't he? And Taranto, there's another one. Two really good players there and around that forward line. I do expect them to cause a world of problems for the Dons today. So I'm predicting Giants away win today. Don't think it's really going to be too hard for them either, even though I did say Essendon are one of those teams that can make it difficult for you to win. However, I don't see that today. I do think the Giants will be fairly convincing today and see the win out. Friday then, we've got a single game tomorrow. UK time, it's around, these games usually start around 10 to 11 in the morning. So I'm presuming it's around 10 to 8, 10 to 9, depending on where you are in Australia tomorrow in the evening. So it's Geelong Cats, who are currently 1st in the ladder and deservedly so, versus Adelaide Crows, who are 5th in the ladder. So it's a top of the table tie really. Geelong Cats had their bye week, then they played. Notoriously, they have been poor after the bye week, and they do usually get beat, which I was quite surprised at hearing. So I think they've had that defeat now. They've got it out of their system. They'll get back to winning ways here, and they'll get the home win. Adelaide Crows are really good, and you can never write out Eddie the Pocket Rocket Betts producing something out of nowhere from the pocket, as I say, from a tight, extremely acute and tight angle. When you don't expect him to be able to do it, he steps up and does it time and time again. So if it does go close, don't be surprised if he does have something to say in the game tomorrow. Having said that though, Geelong Cats I think will bounce back from the defeat and see the victory out. They're still a really good side. People like Dangerfield, they've got Gary Ablett Jr. Do you know what? They've just got players that can step up in big games, and I think it'll be no different tomorrow. These players will be very important, and they'll see out the win. On to Saturday then, we've got 4 games on Saturday, so I'll get through them quickly enough. 12th place Hawthorn is the opening game. 12th place Hawthorn Hawks versus West Coast Eagles, who are 4th in the ladder. I don't expect a surprise here either, because Hawthorn Hawks very inconsistent. On their day they're okay, I suppose. I think this has probably been one of the more disappointing teams that Hawthorn's had in the last few years. From what I've been led to believe from my comments and what I've read and what I've watched over the years, Hawthorn have been one of the giants of the game really. And West Coast Eagles, who are currently the flag holders, I don't expect an upset. That's basically what I'm getting at here. West Coast are very good value for money to watch. They do have important players that can step up. Flying Ryan, what a player. I love watching him. Liam Ryan, he just comes out of nowhere and he makes the most sensational marks. He's a joy to watch really. I don't know if he'll have too much to say about the game tomorrow, but I do fully expect a West Coast Eagles win. No surprises whatsoever. In actual fact, I don't see many surprises whatsoever happening this weekend's footy. But we'll get to them. So West Coast Eagles, away win. That's what we'll get to. We won't go into the details too much of what I think is going to happen in the game, because that's a whole new world of predictions. But yes, West Coast Eagles, away win. Sydney Swans, who actually, I feel, I say it time and time again, I do believe that Sydney Swans are in a false position on the table. Yes, they can't find consistency like a few other teams like Essendon, Hawks, etc. Sydney are notoriously been a good team over the last decade or so. They've got Lance Buddy Franklin, the boy Reid beside him's pretty good. There's a few good players, Papley as well. There's a few good players in Sydney Swans, and they really... they underachieve, really, the Swans. I do feel... I don't see it, but Sydney Swans 14th versus Gold Coast Suns 17th. The Gold Coast Suns really aren't that great a footy side, if we're being brutally honest. And the Swans, as I say, false position. I expect this to be a bit of a going over, to tell you the truth. I expect the Swans to get up there over the century again and really put a scoreline up against the Suns. Apologies to any Suns fans, but I just don't see it any other way. The Swans are better than what you're actually seeing in terms of results. That's what I'm getting at. I've went a roundabout way for a shortcut pretty much to say the Swans are better than what the results are suggesting. Collingwood, North Melbourne. This is quite a good game, to tell you the truth. Second place Collingwood against North Melbourne, 13th. North Melbourne, the Kangaroos should probably be sitting up there higher, to tell you the truth, the Shinboners. I believe they're actually a good side. I've enjoyed watching them. I've watched near enough every one of their live games for the last 5 to 6 weeks. And I've been pleasantly surprised at the footy they've played. The results don't always go their way, but more often than not, they do. Collingwood, yes, they've got the consistency. Nathan Buckley was quoted after the Bulldogs game as being furious, to tell you the truth, with the way they played. They were pinned back, the Bulldogs, and I think it's testament to how the Bulldogs actually play, though. They do put you under pressure. They're a very physical side, and they are relentless in their approach to the way they play their games. Not necessarily the most clinical in front of goal, and I think that was the downfall for the Bulldogs. But Collingwood's defence was sure. I actually was quite impressed with their defence, to tell you the truth. I think that was the reason the Bulldogs didn't win the game. Their defence was strong. Look, you're not always going to have games your own way. You're going to come up against teams that are fired up and actually surprise you at times. And I think that's what the Bullies did. So I'm going to take nothing away from the Bulldogs, really. I thought they actually played some good footy, but Collingwood's defence was sure. And when they got up that other end, players like De Goey and Reedy and like that, the likes of them, Grundy, there was a few to mention. The big game players, they stepped up and they were clinical when they had to be, and they got the goals when they needed to. Do you know what? Collingwood are ruthless at times, and they've proved that they can defend as well. I don't expect anything other than a Collingwood win, to tell you the truth, but it's an interesting one. That could be the upset of the weekend, though. To be fair, because North Melbourne do play good footy, and people love to beat Collingwood, so. That's an interesting one, although, as I say, I'm expecting a Collingwood win. I think Nathan Buckley was so ruthless in the media to get a reaction for next week's game. I don't think he was really that disheartened. You can see the pressure they were under in their defensive 50, and they kind of soaked it up, to tell you the truth, and dealt with it. And when they had to get up the other field to play, they were quick about their work, and they executed their shots in front of goal, their set shots, goals on the move, etc. They executed them at the right times. On to the final game on Saturday, which is Port Adelaide versus the Western Bulldogs. 7th place Port Adelaide against 15th place Western Bulldogs. The Dogs. Home win. Port Adelaide home win. They're off the back of beating Geelong quite convincingly. I never watched the game live. I've seen the highlights. I was supposed to do a reaction. Apologies to anybody who wanted to see me reacting to that. I did say I was going to do it. I just haven't found the time. I've got lots of stuff backlogged in the channel that people want me to do. I will get doing live, not live highlights. I'll be doing highlights of the games just after they happen. I did promise people that I'd do it, so apologies if that promise hasn't came to surface and actually been done. However, on to the prediction. Port Adelaide to beat Western Bulldogs. I think it'll be fairly convincing and straightforward enough. The Bulldogs do make it difficult for you. They can get you into a bit of an arm wrestle at times. And as I say, they are a physical side. If they drag you down to their type of footy, it can be hard to beat them. But if you can and quite quickly at the very start impose your type of footy on the Bulldogs, you should beat them. But if they can drag you into a sort of arm wrestle, into a physical game, into a bit of a scrappy game, the Bulldogs could beat you. But all that being said, I think Port Adelaide are a classy team, and I do think their class will shine through and they'll get the win. On to Sunday then. No surprises on Sunday either. No surprises at all, really. St Kilda, 11th place St Kilda versus 9th place Richmond. The ladder would suggest that these teams are quite close together. Although St Kilda are actually starting to improve this last couple of weeks, I don't see a surprise. I think Richmond Tigers, they've been unfortunate really, Richmond. If you've been following what's happening this last few months, they've had 7 key players out over the last wee while, and they really have struggled to cope because of that. But I think they're going to have enough in reserve in there and to put a team out there that will be able to cope with anything St Kilda will have to throw at them, and I expect an away win. I honestly do. I think Richmond Tigers are still a good side even with these players out. They can't find the consistency every week, but when they play their footy and they play it right, which I expect them to do on Sunday, they will win the game, and that's all I've got to say on that, really. 6th place Brisbane Lions versus Melbourne, the Demons, the oldest club in footy. Brisbane Lions win. Brisbane Lions have been starting to come into it a little bit. I actually quite enjoy watching them. I do think they're a good team. They play some good footy. They play it the right way. They don't get sucked into physical games. They do try and attack you at pace, and they have got players up top there that can hurt you. Melbourne actually had a good win last week as well. They've proved that they can actually go out and get a win. I don't think they will against Brisbane. I think Brisbane Lions are just a step too far for them this week. But having said that, the Demons actually are playing some nice stuff. It's just difficult for them to find that run of consistency and momentum, and coming into the Brisbane game, it's probably the wrong timing for them. They probably would have needed a St Kilda or a Gold Coast Suns or somebody like that there just to get the momentum going, get a bit of confidence into them, to find the winning formula, and then start playing the top half of the ladder's teams. But Brisbane Lions win. Last game of the weekend, Fremantle Dockers versus Carlton. 2 of my favourite younger teams across. Port Adelaide's another one, but younger teams. Fremantle are absolutely exceptional for the youngsters that they've got and what they're achieving. They're sitting 8th. I think that's a false position. I think they're better than 8th, to tell you the truth. I think they've got big players. They've got Brad Hill, they've got Nat Fyfe, they've got Darcy, who's young but he's very, very good. They've got Michael Walters, Sonny Walters. They've got just a few players there that can hurt you. I know I've probably missed one out off the top of my head there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, they've got the players that are actually in form now and they can do the job, and I think they will do the job. Unfortunately for Carlton, I think it's going to be another defeat. They are another team that in a year's time, with the right players coming in and keeping the players together, and I say it every single time, I predict good things for Carlton. Not saying that they're going to go out and win the Premiership flag or win the grand final or anything like that next year, but they have got some very, very exciting players coming through together, and they're now getting the experience playing together. Yes, they're getting beat, but they're playing together, they're getting minutes in their legs, they're getting experience playing at the top end of the footy world, and it can only be beneficial for them providing they keep the guys together in the one team and they don't lose them. But Dockers win. So just going through the prediction again, all 9 games. Giants win, Geelong Cats, West Coast Eagles, Sydney Swans, Collingwood, Adelaide, Richmond, Brisbane Lions and Fremantle. That's my tips for this weekend's footy. Let's see what happens. No real upsets or surprises there. I'm being quite safe in my predictions, but however, I think it's quite educated at the same time. Going by form, going by what I would fully expect teams to do to react to defeats, etc. For example, as I said, Geelong did get beat off Port Adelaide. I don't see that happening again. I do predict a win there. There's pretty straightforward enough predictions, and there's ones that could throw up the odd surprise, but I don't expect them to. So there's my predictions. Thanks very much. Feel free to say your predictions in the comments section below, or if you disagree with me, feel free to put the comments in there as well. Footy chat's fantastic. That's why we've got things like hashtag AFL Chair Chat and hashtag AFL Car Chat, Table Talk, etc, etc. It's just fantastic to talk to Australians, men and women, about this sport. I absolutely love it. Stay tuned for more footy reviews over the weekend and more reactions. There is going to be a good few more reactions coming in the next few days as well. I love the Fantastic Five videos that the AFL have put together. I must commend them for that. Really good quality stuff. They are just short videos. They are just 5 moments where players have just been absolutely sensational. Individual players they're covering. So I'll do things like that there, and of course games that kind of, I wouldn't say shock the footy world, but live long in the history and will continue to live long in folklore within the AFL Aussie rules history, basically. So thanks very much anyway for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, put the notifications bell on, and I will put the links to my other social media platforms as well as my patrons page, etc. So check them out too if you could. Thanks again. I am the Donfather. Peace everyone. Have a great weekend wherever you are in the world watching this, and good luck.